Hello, hello. We are here talking about everyone's favorite social media platform, TikTok. And Victoria, just give us an overview about the recent visit we had from this really famous platform.
Yeah, so here at Ignite, we had this wonderful opportunity to meet our TikTok representatives in person. So they actually flew out to the Michigan office, and we had the North Carolina office call in, and we had like just the afternoon to really connect with them. And they also walked through some great content around measurement and creative. We learned lots during the discussion. It was great to have that like communication in person, but I think a lot of us got quite a few kind of great nuggets out of that discussion. So it was a great time.
Yeah, Parker, you were there as well, right? What was your experience like?
Yeah, so down here in North Carolina, they zoomed in, and they had the larger part of the beginning was kind of more analytical focused, and then kind of the later half, they had someone zoom in from their headquarters to kind of go over more of the content side, and it was really fun. There were some great infographics and some really good little bits of information, and great way of putting things that a lot of us had thought about in terms of content and how to get it out there and what to look for and what we as a brand and identity at Ignite should be looking for. And it was really interesting kind of seeing how their corporate side kind of condenses that and teaches that to people at our level, which was really fun.
Also, I wanted to talk about some of the more exciting features that you see coming in the future of TikTok. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can get us started here. So TikTok offers this feature called interactive add-ons. So it's kind of been, they had a couple of options at first and they really ramped it up. It's basically kind of adding some more spice to your content. Like you can use it on your Spark ad or a dark post. And it just really helps bring engagement from users. So, for example, there's an interactive add on called Super Likes. So when a user looks, scrolls their feed, for example, sees your ad and they like your ad, all these like really cool icons can pop up like this, so you can get really like customizable. Like for example, if you like it, the heart pops up. There are a couple of hearts that pop up, but you can add in like an image that aligns with your brand, or some cool like just awesome features there to really bring that engagement. And they also have story selection. It's another interactive add-on. Basically, it allows users to choose your own path, like option A or option B. So, for example, if you have two car options and they go with the car on the right, um, then it kind of creates a story based on their selection. So, again, adding that engagement to your ad and kind of just having that user make that decision. And yeah, it's led to like some great, interaction engagements.
That's really interesting. So you call them interactive add-ons. Can you explain a little bit more about how that's different than some of maybe the other features that are typically involved?
Yeah, so it's something that's available within the ads tool. So you have your video, and then you kind of build on top of that, and you can customize it a bit. You can have a countdown sticker, a poll. You know how like Instagram Story has polls, so something like that. So it's built in the Ads Manager tool, and it's just they're really rolling out with some great options. I'm excited to see what else they have to offer.
Yeah, and even jumping in off of that, the like super fun part about the super, for example, is we're seeing TikTok attempt to really add an element of customization for brands and accounts in the interface, and that itself is interesting because we don't see that too often across the board with other social media platforms. But the super like seems to be them testing out and pushing towards like, what if we give brands and accounts and people are putting out ads the ability to really fine tune what they want the visuals of their brand to look like. And that's fun. It's I haven't seen that on YouTube or Instagram or anything across Meta, of like how do we change likes to be more customizable to a brand identity itself. So excited to see where that goes. If it's responded well, if people don't like it, etc.
That's interesting. But so we all know that TikTok is a primarily video platform. So are there any insights coming where that's concerned on the video side of things?
I know, well, they call it an interactive add-on, but there's a feature where basically they're including carousel, like a carousel ad format.
Oh, wow.
So that's great for advertisers who don't necessarily have video that they can utilize, but kind of, yeah, just offering more options within the space so it's not just video.
Even on that,
Okay, interesting.
changing that a
Go
lot
ahead.
of them are also changing duration of videos. I think
Mhm.
that's the other thing we're seeing played around with. I feel like monthly at this point. I feel like I'll like log on to TikTok and someone will have uploaded an entire video, like a whole childhood TV episode, which probably isn't legally okay and gets taken down very quickly. But it's crazy that we're reaching an era where now long form content is finding a place on TikTok. But it'll be interesting to see where, if that's just a test or if they reel back on that and kind of go back to their roots of short form. Like, wasn't it at one point a minute maximum and even shorter than that? I think in its early stages, like it's just
Mhm.
gotten longer and longer. Um, but I don't think it's available to everybody. Like, I don't think everybody has immediate access to extremely long form. So it's obviously being tested.
So also, I think with the holidays coming up, were they able to share anything that might be coming out around holidays?
Yeah, in terms of targeting, they rolled out like targeting bundles for hashtags. So within the platform and the ad space, you can target by behavior. So users who interact with certain creators or videos or even hashtags. Right now, it's like you can search for specific hashtags. Not all hashtags are there, so it's a little limited in that. But they have these bundles where they have for each of the holidays, so like Christmas or Thanksgiving. So just making it easy for you to target certain hashtags based on the seasonality of the time.
It's a good point. So you mentioned the ad platform. Are there any paid limitations to some of these new features? How do those kind of things come into play?
Yeah, so they have these two top products, like Top Feed and Top View. So Top Feed is a premium ad placement. The ad is the very first ad in a user's feed. Typically, the CPMs, the cost per thousand impressions, are higher than, say, like a typical in-feed video ad. They also have Top View. This is interesting. So it's again a premium ad placement, but it's a first video a user sees when they open the app. The costs are very, very high per day, but you get that great share of voice. You get that great real estate of being that first video from when a user opens their app.
Is it safe to imagine that that is very, very expensive?
Oh, yes, it is. Very expensive. Yeah, there's like a minimum per day. So whenever you mention per day, you're like, oh, okay, that's going to
Yeah.
be costly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, Parker, you're on the content side of our team. What are you kind of most excited about out of these features that you've heard over the course of that immersion day that you're like, I really want to try this out from a content standpoint?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, like, it's not even dialed down to a specific feature. It's just the fact that features are coming out. Like, I think that was the part that was the biggest takeaway. Is it's not like all of them seem interesting in their own right, especially their creative studio and some of that more stuff. They talked a lot about how much they want to do with CapCut specifically and how much time and energy they're spending on their CapCut team. And one thing that was really excited that I remember them saying was hopefully coming soon is they're trying to partner with some music industry people and some other forms of music distribution to get a lot of songs that typically would be copyright struck down um, onto CapCut in a library that you can then use on TikTok and not have to worry about that feature, which would be really fun, especially from our position that we try to avoid a lot of that music and use a lot of copyright free sites and music libraries and services or AI music. Getting to kind of use some of the more trendy audios that people recommend, I think would be a really fun experiment on our end. Those were some that really came to mind. But yeah, it's really just that they're putting time and energy into finding new features. And I'm really excited to see how the integration of CapCut more and more into TikTok improves or declines the quality. Does it get really repetitive because everyone's using the same software, or are we going to see kind of people explode with that creativity and also give us the opportunity to explode as well or gain inspiration from that, etc.?
That's a good point. Really quickly, for those who may be watching that may not have an agency they're able to help with their video content, can you explain a little bit about how CapCut can help them, especially with these TikTok integrations?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's think of it like the Canva to Photoshop, but for video editing. Like it's everyone's used Canva to make a birthday card, to do etc. Some people, even ourselves and other large agency people, and ads that you wouldn't imagine are being done in Canva are being done in Canva. But it's just taking the structure of really complicated and hard to reach and kind of expensive softwares and dialing it down to a really much more user friendly model. And CapCut has found a way to really dominate the mobile, specifically video editing form, really working really hard on its UI for its app and doing all these things. And they have a desktop thing, but that's not their focus. They want people to get on their phones, take videos with their iPhone or Android, put them into CapCut, and then use a template, video effects that like usually would take like hours to do in After Effects. You now can just press a button and it'll do for you. Now, of course, it's not going to be like you can't customize it as much. You'll run into glitches. There have been times I've seen people use a add-on kind of effect in CapCut, and I'm like, oh, that's so awesome. Let me try that. I go try it, and it turns out terrible. But other times it turns out great. So they're still working on a lot of that stuff, but it's working more often than not. And it kind of helps cut out that really hard to approach, like dominating force that are these like really complicated video editing app softwares and just graphic design software. So I think that's where it really kind of opens up a pathway for a lot of them.
Good. That's really good. So just a couple more questions, and then I'll let you both go. But based on what you've seen, if there's a brand that hasn't quite jumped into the TikTok landscape yet, are there some of these new features that you see coming out that would make you say to brand X, I think it's time for you to go ahead and jump on this platform? It's clearly not going anywhere, but what do you see coming forth that might help a brand that hasn't got on TikTok to get on TikTok?
Well, this isn't like a new feature, but something that's unique to TikTok in terms of the ad space is their behavior targeting, which I mentioned. So Meta had behavior targeting, it was very robust, and then over the time they started removing these capabilities. But it's really cool that you can, target based on the types of creators or content, certain hashtags that users interact with, and additionally, it does have a great insights tool. It's really cool. We jumped into this. So it's a video insights tool, and it shows you all this great data about retention or clicks on your video by like the second. So it not only helps in terms of the analytics and paid, but also creative as well, since it shows you maybe where the drop off is, and it also provides benchmarks like where you are to the industry, like you're performing say 75% better than industry videos. It's great to have those benchmarks to really show your client that, hey, this is working, or hey, it's not working. So that's from the paid space. I don't know about you, Parker.
Yeah, I mean, mine would be less of like a specific feature to get them to do it, but more of just the awareness and sharing that TikTok is doing right now, which probably isn't what people would expect to hear people say regarding TikTok. Or just social media companies in general. But one of the biggest ones was, I remember myself and a lot of the other content producers loved this part of the presentation. And it was, they pulled up a visual infographic of this funnel. And it was them describing the trend forces, trend signals, and I have it written somewhere, the trend moments. That's what it was. But it was, you can look it up and it's just TikTok trend forces and you can find this infographic. But it was a great way of them breaking down where large brands should be looking at in that funnel of like, where should they be hopping on? And especially for brands like us that are creating content months out, we shouldn't be focusing as much on those trend moments, like the really trendy moments, but then more what's the larger wave that's going to come from that. Like the Wes Anderson trend wasn't as important for us to hop on the Wes Anderson trend because we're creating content months out, but it makes more sense for us to hop on. People want to see movie things and really visual aesthetics in their ads. And that can be the thing that we aim towards content as the rollout from that trend. And TikTok just has tons of those things on their website and online, and just videos that can be really helpful for brands if they want to look at it and really understand how they can start fitting into this process, not just guessing or just looking up how to grow a brand on TikTok. They can instead really look at some information that is backed by data and really go, okay, this is where I think we should fit into this. And that's what's exciting right now.
That's really exciting. That's really exciting. Okay, last thing, hot take. We'll go Victoria, then Parker. What do you see? So Victoria, you'll be from a paid analytics standpoint, and Parker from a content standpoint. What do you see as the future of TikTok as it pertains to brands and how they'll incorporate TikTok in their strategy in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I see brands incorporating more TikTok ads in their strategy. Like, they're really like upfront, like they're really pushing forward like new, new ad formats or targeting options. They're really trying to kind of take that meta space, and I think they're doing a really good job, especially with like their offerings. Like a lot of it's really cool, and as Parker mentioned, a lot of it's customizable. So I can see more brands kind of even testing out TikTok or even just increasing their ad spends on that platform because of those features, and it is an efficient cost, an efficient channel to be on.
My hot take or insight on all of this is I think TikTok is going to reach a point, it already is a little bit, of this really interesting push to two polar opposites of quality and content. And not just like how good is the content, but production value. Like, is TikTok going to take the approach that YouTube took, where now you can't be a YouTuber without a $2,000 camera, a lighting setup, a $200 mic, like et cetera, versus is it going to lean towards really sticking to its roots and really kind of taking on that, like, we're shifting fully to phone. We want you to use CapCut as much as possible. We want that. And I'm seeing it on both sides right now. Like every other TikTok is like super high quality, like edited in Premiere and After Effects and color graded and Resolve and all these things. And then some of it is just a single long clip of someone's shaky phone. So I'm seeing that start to happen, and I don't know where it's going to go. If I had to bet, it's going to go more professional based off of trend. I'd love for it to stay less professional. But I just think with how social media is, people keep trying to ramp up the professional quality for some reason I don't know if it's self-appeasement or of personal reasons or what it is, but that's my thought.
That's a good insight. I agree with you. I just really hope it stays on the phone CapCut end, just because that's part of what makes it so entertaining. And there's a little bit of a joy in the unhinged nature of TikTok. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much, and thank you for your time. So we'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor, and thank you,
Thank
Victoria.
you. Thank you, guys.